Welcome into another edition of our In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. I'm Tom Leach, along with Keeneland's director of simulcasting, Jim Goodman. We're going to do a couple of podcasts this weekend because we have big stakes-laden cards at Churchill Downs and Kentucky Downs, so one for each of the Kentucky tracks. And Jim, let's start with the Churchill Downs stakes card. There are 4 stakes, 3 of them graded. The first one is the Grade 3 ACAC, and the 4th race, it's early on their card because they, I'm sure, wanted to keep it out of the pick 6 because it's a small field and not a great betting race. Who did you land on?
Yeah, Bradester looks like a 3 to 5 shot in here. Ran at Monmouth in a Grade 3 and a Grade 2. Ran second to Valid, and it's my lucky day. So Moonshine Mullen beat him here back in May. I think Bradester is probably an outstanding choice here. It's not a great betting race. If I were trying to beat him, Carve has won 3 in a row at Churchill, Prairie Meadows, and Mountaineer, so he's well traveled. Been to Zia Park, Oaklawn Park. I guess he's got a lot of miles on him for Brad Cox. He's won almost $700,000. So Carve is an option there, I think. The other interesting horse here, Flashback, changes trainers from Bob Baffert to Wayne Catalano. You don't see that every day, but obviously Gary and Mary West brought him back here the first time out of California, and he actually ran in the San Antonio Derby last year and finished second to Golden Sense. So even though there's only 5 horses in here, you can make a case for 3 of them, I think. But I'm going to take Bradester on top based on his recent form.
Can't disagree with anything there. I wrote down, just for me, it would just be a win bet on Bradester. Take your chances and move on if you want to bet the race, because the actors aren't going to pay much, and there's enough balance in there that it's hard to be sure. Sometimes, if you lock in on a horse and lock in on somebody for second, you can maybe bet the exacta with some confidence, but hard to do that here, so just a win bet on Bradester for me. 8th race is the Locust Grove for fillies and mares 3 and up at 1 mile and a 16th, and I couldn't get past the horse. I figured it's going to be the favorite here, On Fire Baby. She loves Churchill. She's won 3 times at Churchill. She's won 4 times at 1 mile and a 16th, so those are 2 pretty powerful numbers going in her favor. Tappett's World is, I think, an improving horse for McPeak. Ran second in the Gardenia, ran real well, and just a 4-year-old, so getting better. So that one's a little dangerous. If you're doing horizontals and want to spread just a little bit, you might include her. But I think if I were doing a horizontal bet, I'd probably try to single On Fire Baby and spread elsewhere. And On Fire Baby, the pick to win for me, I'd use her with Tappett's World, the 6 Don't Tell Sophia, and the 7 Molly Morgan. Tappett's World's number 2. What about you?
I'm not going with you here. I'm taking Molly Morgan. I looked at that race where she beat On Fire Baby fairly easily in the Fleur de Lis. Now, On Fire Baby, that was her 4th race in the cycle, so maybe she was just a little bit over the top. But Molly Morgan is really going well right now, and they took her to Delaware and ran her the Grade 1 Delaware Handicap. She was overmatched there with Princess Silmar and Flashy American Bel Galante, but came back and won the Gardenia. And I think she got a great trip in the Fleur de Lis, and I think it sets up for her well here with a little bit of speed up front. So I'm going to take Molly Morgan. On Fire Baby below. Don't Tell Sophia was dominating at Oaklawn in the spring, but she's been off for 6 months, so I'm going to guess she lost to Close Hatches by 1 3/4 lengths. So Don't Tell Sophia is actually the class of the race, but I'm going to guess she needs a race. Tappett's World and your horse On Fire Baby I would take below, but I'm going to take Molly Morgan on top.
Let's go to the 9th race. It's the Grade 3 Iroquois. And these 2-year-old races are good betting races, I think. This one for the boys at 1 mile and a 16th. And both of these races, I had trouble settling on somebody. Who did you pick?
I went with Mr. Z. I think the race at Saratoga where he ran second to I Spin It, who came back and ran well in the Hopeful on Monday, is a key race, and he ran well in the Sanford, almost won that behind Big Trouble. So I think he beat Sickle Charlie that day. He's beaten #Bourbon, who came back and won the Mountaineer Juvenile. So I think Mr. Z, the 2 horse, would be a key in my pick 3s and pick 4s. I would take him on top with #Bourbon, the 1 horse for Gordon Keller. Kellen Gorder. I transposed names, not numbers. That's hard to do. And then Bold Conquest gets Rosario fresh off a maiden win at Saratoga. So the 8 horse and #Bourbon, the 1 would be the horses I take below Mr. Z. But I'm going to go with the Saratoga form there.
I'm taking a little bit of a stretch here and going to Lucky Player. It's the higher odds of the 2 Asmusens, and I like that this horse improved his Beyer significantly, going around going to a longer distance, stretching out to 1 mile. Pedigree to like mile and a 16th and beyond. And the other thing that caught my eye was a bullet work for Asmussen, which is rare, and then followed by the classic easy half mile a few days out before the race. So I like the work pattern for Lucky Player. I think I'm going to get a little bit of a price. So I'm going to try Lucky Player in here, thinking that he'll really like the mile and the 16th. I'm going to use him with Bold Conquest, the 8, the 7 Danny Boy, and the 6 Cleveland Sound. 10th race is the Grade 3 Pocahontas for 2-year-old fillies at a mile and the 16th. And again, I thought this was there were several in here that had a shot. Who did you go with?
Yeah, I think so. I think this one's wide open. Lucas may have the favorite here and take Charge Brandy. She ran well in the Schuylerville at Saratoga, but didn't run well in the Adirondack. So I don't know what's going on there. It says in the form that she was hard to load, so maybe she left her race in the paddock. But I think she's going to be a deserving favorite here. She's a Giants Causeway, and she ought to love the distance, stretching out to mile and 16. Pangburn is an interesting horse for Kenny McPeak, coming off just a maiden win at Ellis Park. They're taking her from turf to dirt. Rosario comes in to ride, and I think she's got a real shot here. True to You, the 10 horse, is the other horse here for Tom Amos. Didn't get a great buyer first time out in Indiana on the turf, but Tom is great with 2-year-olds, and that was a good prep for this race at Indiana. She didn't have to extend herself very much to win. So I'm going to take True to You and Pangburn, but I'm going to take B. Wayne Lucas with Take Charge Brandy on top, the 8 horse.
I'm going True to You. I like the turf to dirt angle for Amos is a 28% rate. And then I like that this horse was a 2-year-old sale purchase back in the spring. So they're looking for quick return on investment. She was bought for 4 times the stud fee, almost 4 times the stud fee. So I think they're picking a spot to get a quick return on investment here with True to You. I'm going to use her with the 5 Pangburn, the 4 Christina's Journey for Romans, and the 3 Phoenix Park shipping in for Jimmy Toner from New York. I'm sure there's spots there he could have run. So either doesn't think she's good enough to beat those in New York and trying to go here, or he's trying to slip in and pick off a spot. So Phoenix Park, the 3, intrigued me a little bit. But the True to You is going to be my pick in the Pocahontas, and I'll use her in exactas with those other 3. So that's how it looks for the stakes races at Churchill Downs. We are going to have a separate podcast looking at 3 stakes races, 2 of those for 2-year-olds on the turf at Kentucky Downs on Saturday. And any special events, contests, whatever, for September at simulcasting for Keeneland?
Yeah, starting this weekend, of course, Churchill Downs opens on Friday night with a 6 o'clock card. They're doing 2 Friday nights this September, not Saturday. So they're running on Friday night the 5th. They're also running on Friday night the 19th. We're going to have a nice little $35 handicapping tournament. It's one of your last chances to qualify for the Tournament Champions. So we will have a tournament, including food and everything, on the 19th. This weekend, of course, Kentucky Downs, great racing. We're going to talk about that in different podcasts. But they're running 2 Saturdays and 3 Wednesdays. So they got a 5-day meet giving away over $1 million a day. So it's going to be some of the best turf racing you'll see this fall. So a lot of things going on in September, and then at the end of September, of course, it's the Breeders' Cup preview days at Belmont and Santa Anita on the 27th.
Again, we're going to have a separate podcast for those Kentucky Downs races, so make sure you listen for that. For Jim Goodman, I'm Todd Leach, and the In the Money podcast at KeenelandSelect.com.